Leo was not a hero, just a boy in the city's forgotten corners. His world was alleys, sirens, and rain on hot pavement. At 14, he saw what others missed: the flicker of a curtain, the wrong car on the wrong street. Adults told him not to ask questions, but Leo couldn't help himself. The old textile factory was his playground, a decaying beast at the city's edge. The rich never came here, but sometimes their world brushed against his. Late at night, black vans with no plates would arrive at the factory. Leo watched from a fire escape, heart pounding. He saw a man in a suit hand off a cooler to a shadowy figure, then vanish. It wasn't drugs. This was too quiet, too clean. He'd heard stories, collectors who took children no one would miss. He'd always thought they were just tales, but seeing that cooler, that silent exchange, planted a cold seed of doubt. What if the monsters wore suits and drove fancy cars? The question echoed in the silence long after the van disappeared. Leo's curiosity was dangerous, but he couldn't let it go. He knew secrets in his world were never safe. That night, the city's rain couldn't wash away his dread. He realized, sometimes, the scariest things are hidden in plain sight, and sometimes, the only witness is a boy in the alley. The next day, Leo couldn't shake the image of the cooler. He noticed a strange symbol on it, a bird with a single, unblinking eye. He searched for it everywhere: trucks, buildings, TV ads. His obsession led him to the city's free library. Hours of research finally paid off. The symbol belonged to the Ethelred Foundation, a charity praised for helping children. Its board was filled with the city's elite: politicians, billionaires, surgeons. Why would a charity be involved in secret deals? Leo dug deeper. The foundation's orphanages in remote areas barely existed online. News reports of missing children from those places were always buried, always called runaways. A pattern emerged: charity and disappearance side by side. Then Leo found a leaked shipping manifest, coded references to blood types, kidneys, livers. It was a list of body parts, not donations. The realization hit him: the missing children were being harvested. The Foundation's smiling faces were a mask for horror. Leo's world tilted. He'd uncovered a nightmare hiding behind charity. The truth was worse than any story he'd ever heard. The powerful were preying on the powerless. Leo knew he couldn't look away. He had to find proof. The city's brightest lights cast the darkest shadows, and Leo was determined to shine a light. Now Leo knew the truth, and it was monstrous. The city's pillars were predators, hiding behind charity and power. The Ethelred Foundation was a supply chain for human lives. The police, media, and courts were all complicit, protecting the powerful. Anyone who got too close was ruined or silenced. Leo remembered a reporter, Mr. Henderson, destroyed for asking questions. The elites didn't need violence. They erased people with whispers. Leo understood the adults' fear. Survival meant silence. He was just a boy, but he declared war on a fortress of lies. The powerless are always the first casualties, but Leo refused to be erased. He would fight, even if he fought alone. Leo couldn't go to the police or the media. He needed irrefutable proof. The old factory was the heart of the operation. He slipped in through a collapsed drainage tunnel, heart pounding. Inside, the basement looked more like a clinic than a factory. He found a locked room, a makeshift operating theater, coolers stacked in the corner. Leo took shaky photos with his phone. Suddenly, voices, security guards entered. Leo hid behind crates, barely breathing as flashlights swept the room. The guards talked about a new shipment, a fresh batch from the north. Leo realized he was trapped when they locked the door behind them. Panic threatened to overwhelm him, but he forced himself to think. He searched for another way out, desperate. The evidence was in his hands, but so was his life. He had to escape, for the children, and for himself. Every second in that basement felt like an eternity. Leo's courage was all that kept him moving. He was in the belly of the beast, but he wasn't giving up. The truth was too important. He would find a way out. He had to. For the missing. For the truth. Trapped, Leo's fear sharpened into resolve. He spotted a ventilation shaft, pried it open, and crawled through the darkness. The vents let him overhear the operation children discussed as assets, a doctor scheduled for procedures, mention of a secure server with client lists. It was a business, an international network of shadows. This story, as shocking as it sounds, is inspired by real horrors. Organ trafficking rings prey on the poor and vulnerable worldwide. Fake charities and clinics are often fronts for these crimes. The powerful create demand. The desperate become supply. Victims are lured or abducted, their bodies sold to the highest bidder. Leo's discovery mirrors the real world's darkest truths. The fight against such evil is ongoing. Leo's journey is a reflection of the struggle to bring these crimes to light. The world's silence enables monsters, but sometimes one voice can break it. Leo was determined to be that voice. Even in the shadows, he would not be silent. The truth had to escape with him, and so did he. Leo followed the vents to an office below, a single lamp, a man in a lab coat. Dr. Alistair Finch, the Foundation's celebrated surgeon, was here. When Finch left, Leo dropped into the office. The computer was locked, but a black notebook caught his eye. It was Finch's diary. The entries began with ambition, but soon turned dark, justifying sacrifice for the privileged. Children were listed by code, their organs catalogued with chilling detachment. Between the lines, Leo sensed Finch's unraveling mind. Haunted by the faces of his victims, the diary was a confession, a record of horror. Leo photographed every page. This was the proof he needed. He heard footsteps, Finch returning. Leo replaced the diary and scrambled back into the vents, just in time. Clutching his phone, he crawled through the darkness. He now held the words of the damned. The truth was in his hands. He had to make it heard. The world needed to know, and Leo would make sure it did. Escaping the factory was even harder than getting in. Leo made it back to the alley, breathless and shaken. He ran home, bolted his door, and clutched his phone. The evidence was safe for now. Paranoia set in. Black cars slowed on his street. Strangers seemed to watch him. He knew they'd be searching for the intruder. He couldn't keep the evidence on his phone. At an internet cafe across town, Leo uploaded everything: photos, audio, diary pages, to journalists, watchdogs, and whistleblower sites. He sent the files everywhere, over and over, hoping someone would listen. Each click was a risk, but also a spark. He didn't know if anyone would believe him, but he had to try. As he left the cafe, the sunset painted the sky in fire. Leo realized he'd just thrown the match. The war was no longer unseen, the truth was out there, and the world was about to burn. The first day, nothing happened. Leo feared his evidence had vanished into the void. Then, a small European journal published the story, cautious, but real. The files were verified, the diary cross-referenced, the story spread, social media exploded. Ethelred files, diary of the damned. The Foundation denied everything, but outrage drowned them out. The elites, used to controlling the narrative, were suddenly on the defensive. The story was mirrored worldwide. They couldn't kill a ghost. Leo watched as protests formed, news reports aired, and hope bloomed in his chest. A single spark had started a firestorm. The fortress of lies was cracking. The world was finally looking. Leo remained in the shadows, but his truth was everywhere. The powerful were losing control. The story could not be buried. Leo's courage had ignited a movement. The world was changing. The truth was winning. And it all started with a boy in an alley. Sometimes, that's all it takes. The global outcry was unstoppable. Governments launched investigations. The wall of silence crumbled. Arrests followed. Guards, Dr. Finch, then the elites themselves. The diary was undeniable. Confessions toppled the powerful. Their images shattered, their crimes exposed. Trials became a global reckoning. The network's full horror was revealed. Leo never came forward. He stayed a ghost, safe from revenge. His reward was seeing children rescued, new laws passed, and the world changed. He'd forced people to confront a darkness they'd ignored. Leo's story proved courage isn't the absence of fear, but action despite it. You don't need power to make a difference, just the will to act. One person, one truth, can bring down the highest walls. In a world of shadows, Leo's spark became a beacon. The truth, once set free, can never be caged again.